In this video, we're going to be putting my wallets and my sales history under the microscope. The blockchain doesn't lie. You can find every single sale from every single day. And we're going to look at my trades and we're going to go all the way back in time to when I first started out and see what I did wrong, the mistakes I made. And we're also going to see where I started making some serious money in NFTs. Let's go. Yep, that's right guys, welcome back to another video, another chance for you to get whitelisted for my upcoming free NFT, the NFT Expert Summit. Details are in the description. We've got the ticket artwork up here. You should know about it by now, but every video I give away whitelists. All you have to do is just like and subscribe to my YouTube channel with notifications on, so when I release a new video, you get a chance at being one of the first to get whitelisted, because I'm giving away whitelists on every video. So pretty simple, but this episode I really wanted to be as educational as possible for you. The thing that I see so many beginners do is they make so many mistakes early on with a small bankroll, and just like you're about to see with me, like my story, I started with 0.6 ETH, and I quickly lost nearly all of that down to nearly 0.1 ETH. I think I was around 0.12 left on my bankroll, and I was able to flip that way up. To over 40 ETH. Before then I entered a Moonbird, lucky enough, won a raffle, and then that hit 40 ETH as well. So from that 0.1 to where I am now, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm so thankful for what's happened with NFTs. But I made a heap of mistakes, and I learned a lot of things along the way, and so I want to go through one of my wallets here. I'm not hiding anything. You can't hide anything on the blockchain anyway. And we're going to go through and look at all my trades and see what I did wrong and see what I did right. And hopefully you guys can get some lessons from the mistakes that I made. And maybe you even pick up a few things that I did wrong that you're doing wrong right now. So let's screen share. Let's have a look at this. So we've got my OpenSea profile up here. OpenSea's just changed their actual database, which is a bit controversial. But we've got all the recent sales. So this is just one of my wallets. I've got multiple wallets, and I'm going to scroll as far back as I can go for this particular wallet. So we can actually go through, all the stuff that I did wrong. So right down the bottom here, we've got Crazy Skulls. So as you can see, I've bought this off David for 0.118, which it says here $209. At the time, that is not right, because Ethereum back then I think it was like 4,000. It was over like double the price, so that was actually more like $400. So a huge investment for me at the time when I didn't have that much money in NFTs in the first place. And this is one of the first mistakes I made. Like, why am I buying this Crazy Skull for 0.118? Like it doesn't make sense when I've got no liquidity, and this is the first sale that comes up in my OpenSea is something that I'm buying, not that I'm selling. So that's the first mistake straight away. But I remember this story pretty clearly. I started to get used to tracking with new tools. Like I just got Mobi. I was really excited to use it. And on Mobi, you could track when different things are pumping, and you get different alerts when sales are going off. And I remember someone swept Crazy Skulls, some whale. I think he swept like 100 off the floor. So he bought 100 in a row. It was pinging all these tools. It was going wild. I was like, wow, I've got to get on this. I've got to get on it before it starts pumping. Little did I know that just because some guy sweeps a bunch of them doesn't really mean anything in the scheme of things. I should have gone through and then looked at like volume and seeing if the sweep created even more volume, which it didn't, but I didn't know how to do that at the time. And so I went into the Crazy Skulls Discord, and I thought I'd do my research and try and figure out what's going on with this project. And the Discord was going off. Everyone was celebrating. This guy did a crazy sweep. I was like, oh, these vibes are cool. Like, this project seems legit. Let's go. And I bought it. And sure enough, within like half an hour, it actually didn't go up any higher. And I mean, considering like I go through my scrolling history, I don't think I actually sold that again. Maybe I did. Maybe we need to check that out. If we go into it, what's the history? I bought it for 0.118, and it looks like, oh, there we go. Look, I sold it for 0.097 later. So maybe there was a pump later on, and it looks like this Play Nice guy is still just holding it for 0.097. Let's actually look at the floor price now for Crazy Skulls. Floor price of 0.2. So this is a case in point. Not a great investing decision by anyone that purchased this particular crazy skull. Now I have to scroll all the way back down to the bottom of my OpenSea. But a really good lesson to learn. Yeah, I'm going to cut this bit out. All right, so lesson learned, crazy skull wasn't a good buy. Luckily, I was able to get it out, only losing a little bit of money. But first lesson, why am I buying on secondary? Why am I buying into a pump when it's just one guy sweeping the floor? It doesn't make any sense. Next one you can see is Poodle's NFT. I remember this pretty clearly. This was in the heart of degen mint season. It's awesome to see that degen mints are coming back, but Poodle's obviously a derivative of Doodles. Derivatives are really common, so artists and even ruggers will take basic art from other projects, quickly launch something and just try and get degens like us to mint it. I minted heaps. I was only able to sell one for 0.02. I think mint price was about 0.02. So I just tried to sell the others before the floor bricked, but I couldn't. I'm almost guaranteed that the floor is zero right now. So lost a bit of money on Poodles. As you can see, I only got $35 back from that, but that's all right. We tried. The next one, Little Mutant Ape Clubs. I think in one of my last videos, I talked about Little Baby Ape Clubs, which was amazing. This is obviously a derivative of that. Not so amazing. It looks like I bought this one for 0.07 and then I sold it pretty quickly later for 0.05. Again, what am I doing? Why am I buying off secondary when I have no liquidity back then? I've lost another 0.2, maybe even more because of fees. And I was probably causing myself a lot of stress. So again, a really poor play by me. Back then, I shouldn't be buying off secondary. I shouldn't be chasing these pumps because I've got hardly any liquid. And you can see why I basically lost all my cash. Now, the next one, the Cool Dogs Official. This was another degen stealth mint. The Cool Dogs team's actually a legit team. They work pretty hard on the project, which is pretty awesome. But this was just another stealth drop, came out of nowhere. I was lucky one of the Discords I was in called it, and I minted it. And I had a little bit of success at this point. Like, as I can see, like Little Mutant Ape Clubs was no good, but Little Baby Ape Clubs I did really well on. And yeah, I'd done a bit of flipping by now, and so I knew what I was doing, but I was still pretty inexperienced. And this shows, right? Because for the first time ever, I minted my very first one of one. As you can see, this golden cool dog in the corner. I didn't know what to believe when I minted this, but I was losing my mind because that was a one of one, which means it's the rarest one in the collection. It's the golden one. And so by far, it's the most expensive one. And there's always people that are willing to pay more for a one of one. The problem was, and I remember at the time, I was freaking out because after mint, the floor was bricking. I think the mint price was quite expensive. I think it was like 0.06 or 0.08 for a stealth mint. And the floor was bricking. As you can see, I accepted 0.06 offer pretty quickly on one of my cool dogs because I was scared the floor was going to zero. And it's the same with this one, this 0.09. I just wanted to get out of it because I just wanted to get back as much as I could from my initial investment and then see what I could get for the one of one, which in hindsight is actually quite a good play. Like this minting 3 and flipping 1, holding 1, and then keeping 1 for a moon play. It's a pretty common strategy. And yeah, this is what I went for. But the thing that got me here is my emotions really got the better of me. I had a one of one. I knew it was worth a lot. I thought I could get around 1 ETH or at least 0.5 to 1 ETH, maybe even 2 ETH for it. But the only thing that could have happened is if the project completely bricked or turned out to be a rug, which you're never sure of when you're initially minting something like this, right? But I was really scared of that happening. And then if obviously that happened, my one of one was going to be worthless. So I was getting all these high offers for 0.3, 0.5, 0.6. And I was like, I really need to make a decision now. This is what I thought. Because if the floor keeps going down and this project ends up rugging, I'm turning away like a potential 1 ETH sale, which at the time, and I remember at the time, was over 5,000 Australian dollars. So at the time I was like, I just minted this for like 0.06 or 0.08. I'm about to make $5,000 in the space of a couple of hours. This was blowing my mind at the time. I'd never thought that this was possible. But I was petrified. I thought it was all going to go away and I was going to lose that $5,000. And I didn't know what to do. I called one of my only mates that was in NFTs and I was like talking him through it, and he just said, mate, it looks like sounds like you're really stressed about this. Maybe the best thing to do is just take the money and just be happy with it. And then sure enough, I think I got an offer, and then I contacted the person, negotiated a 0.99 offer, just below 1 Ethereum, and I sold it. And I was over the moon. Like I sold for 1 Ethereum, which was, yeah, at the time, nearly $5,000 in the space of like a few hours. Like I'd never made that much money before, cash, just in that amount of time. It was wild to me. And again, like really got me more and more addicted to NFTs and chasing these gains, which can be a little bit dangerous, but great experience. In hindsight, like that cool dog, I could have sold if I held it for a bit longer for maybe 2 or 3 Ethereum. So I could have sold it for maybe $10,000 or $15,000, maybe even like a week later, because they did go on to pump a little bit before coming back down. I think their floor price is about 0.09. So as you can see, these two ones I sold below the floor to recoup some of my investment. But at the time, I was new and I was learning and I was still very emotional, and this is what was going through my head. So a great learning experience. The next one was these dopey ducklings. As you can see, I minted a semi-rare one here with the astronaut duck. I was able to sell that for nearly double what I was able to sell the other two. But it looks like I went through the classic mint 3 strategy again. So I minted 3. I think they were all minted for 0.06 or 0.08, and immediately sold one for 0.089. So that's good. I got, if I minted for 0.06, that means I invested about 0.18 total. So my idea was like, well, if I can get 0.18 back by flipping 2, then whatever the third one I sell for is profit. And I can hold it, I can flip it, I can do what I want based on what I see the market doing. So I sold these for both 0.08 and 0.09. So I recouped my investment. That initial 0.18 that I minted for, I got back in my pocket, pretty close anyway, after you take out royalties and fees. And had that in my pocket. I knew this third one, whatever I sold it for, was profit. And it looks like I held on to it for a little bit and then eventually sold it for 0.19. So again, an awesome play. In the space of like a day, I made 0.19, which says here $350 US. Again, it was probably more than that. So it was about $700 I made that day in US profit. So I was starting to get the hang of it now, starting to get a little bit less emotional. Going up, we've got Forgotten Cult, a stealth mint, free mint actually, but I sold one for 0.29. So at the time it was $100. As you can see now it's $51, but I thought that's pretty good. Just for pushing a few buttons, I made $100. Octopus, this was a funny one as well, as chasing a rug. It looks like I've bought this one and never sold it. That's not very good. Meta Travelers. So this is interesting. This is one of my first whitelist mints. I got to mint 3. And I think at the time mint price was about 0.07 or something, so I would have minted for 0.2 total, and it looks like I sold them all for like 0.36 total. So yeah, pretty decent play there, and that was purely from just grinding, getting a whitelist, and enjoying some healthy profits from that. Lonely Frog Lambo Club, it looks like I bought this one for 0.019 and then sold it straight after for 0.069. So as you can see, now I'm learning how to recognize volume metrics. I'm learning how to read charts a little bit more. Yeah, so buying that for $34 and then selling it for $122 in the space of, that would have been in the space of like 10 minutes. So starting to learn how to do some actual trading, which is cool. So I made $100 off that funny little Pepe frog. Going into Furballs, this was one of my biggest wins to date. So this was a free mint, incredible team, the Furballs team. Shout out to those guys for doing a free mint and doing this. But yeah, we've got these 2 Furballs here. Actually, this isn't, sorry, this is because this is a different wallet. This is a Furballs pump that I've chased. So again, I'm starting to read charts. I just did this with the Lonely Frog. I've done the same with the Furball because you can see it's the same one. I thought this was actually my minting Furballs, but that must have been a different wallet. So minting Furballs actually made over 1.2 profit off the mint, and that was a huge win for me. But as you can see here, I've minted for 0.45 and then sold for 0.69. This would have happened in the same hour as well. So I've minted for, not minted, I've bought off secondary for $7.96, sold for $1,200. So made about a $400 gain in the space of half an hour. So starting to get, you have to take fees off that obviously, but for the space of half an hour, it's a pretty good return. And I'm very bullish on Furballs as well. And this was actually like a bit of a semi-rare Furball. So I knew that if I got caught holding, I wouldn't have been too concerned. Highly risky, this sort of stuff. You know, when you're spending like $800 trying to flip it, it can go bad like really quickly. So I'm starting to actually get a bit of experience here with my buying and selling. And that's why I was able to do this kind of thing. But yeah, extremely risky. Again, reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. You shouldn't be copying anything I'm doing here. I'm just sharing what I did in my story. speaking of getting experience, I then just had some absolutely shocking plays in a row. World Webland on this wallet, I minted and then sold for 0.129. What a terrible play. That ended up running on to like 3 or 4 ETH. So I sold this for $200, where if I just held it, it would have gone, geez, 3 or 4 ETH in Australian dollars at the time. Yeah, like close to 15 to 20 grand. So what a massive, massive mess up that one was. But I think I was watching, maybe I was getting too involved in charts then, and I was looking at metrics and I could see the floor bricking and I started really panicking. Whereas that was one of the times where maybe I should have just minted, taken a walk and just gone see you later, because the project's legit, the team is really legit. I shouldn't have worried about the ebbs and flows in the floor and just had conviction long term, but easier said than done. Same with Gold Game. I'm chasing a play here. I've bought for 0.1, I've sold for 0.107. It may look like it's a small profit of $10, but after fees, it's not a profit. So I've lost money there. We go on to the Hammy game. This was a stealth mint as well. I think the mint price is 0.05. You know, I've sold and made 0.25 there. So maybe 0.15 total for a quick stealth mint. Great little profit. All these little profits start adding up. Thingdoms as well, I was able to mint 2. Mint price is quite expensive for Thingdoms, but again, I've just banked a tidy little profit. A lot of people with Thingdoms as well, this is really good to know, but everyone was really bullish on Thingdoms and wanted to hold. Whereas I was less bullish, but even if I was bullish, I was still at the point where I was just trying to stack liquidity. And so no matter how bullish you are on a project, unless it's like by far the biggest project of the year and you're just crazily bullish, when you've got a low liquidity, you just have to take the risk off the table and just take the profit. And so that was actually a good move for me. Like, I had a lot of mates that just got caught holding the bag with Thingdoms, and their things were worth basically nothing for a long time. I think they did end up pumping during that crazy January bull run, but that would have been a long time to hold before that happened. So that ended up being a semi-decent play for me. But in saying that, about holding regardless of the project, this is probably one of my worst losses to date. And this is, you can't get too concerned about this, but I minted and sold pre-reveal a 1 of 1 My Pet Hooligan. Now, My Pet Hooligan, the floor price has been 1 ETH. I think it pumped to like 1.5 ETH. It's been very, very high for a long time. And so this My Pet Hooligan, I could have potentially sold it for $50,000 plus. And I sold it pre-reveal. I sold it at floor at the time, which was 0.5. And again, I just went through my strategy. My strategy was just stacking ETH, was just minting, flipping, getting rid of it, no matter how much conviction I had in the project. And this is the one example where things like that can go wrong. And so you have to be okay with that. And I was pretty sad about it, but I knew that it was the right thing for me to do at the time, because I needed to keep building liquidity. I couldn't just keep holding every NFT I minted just in case it was going to moon. Like, I knew I needed to do this until I got to a point where I was able to afford holding some stuff. So that's a bit sad, the My Pet Hooligan story, and I always like to share that story. But what could have been? I could have had a 1 of 1 golden My Pet Hooligan and potentially made a nice $50,000 profit. But it wasn't to be. Looking at our laptop now, it looks like OpenSea is down again and actually not loading. Classic OpenSea. We might have to take a small break and try and fix this, and we'll get back to it. All right, guys, in classic OpenSea fashion, they've rugged us. The website is down again, so we're going to wrap up the... It's just so typical, isn't it? OpenSea's always down, and it's rugged us again. So I can't show you the rest of my wallet, but I want to keep showing you the rest of my wallet. I want to show you all of my wallets if you guys are keen to keep learning and looking at my trade history. So if you want to, leave a comment below and I can do another video on this. But if this video went too long and you didn't find it helpful, also leave a comment and tell me that, and we can do a different video topic, next topic. But you're gonna make it eventually, okay? So you just gotta keep working, keep trying, keep self-reflecting, look at what's working, look at what's not working, and try and learn off as many helpful people as possible. So hope this YouTube was one of those examples. Don't forget to fill in the Google form below this video, and as always, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and subscribe on this YouTube channel. Sweet. Good.